Hey everybody, before I get started with this episode, or this very special episode, let me rephrase, I want to give big thanks to my big sponsors over on patreon.com. First, I want to thank Big Danny Cool. Thank you very much, sir, for being a long-time sponsor of the show. And for Sean Adams, who's a more recent but still very valued member of the community. I want to thank both Big Danny Cool and Sean Adams for being sponsors of the Headcast Network and all my wonderful shows. Thank you guys. Now, having done with that, let's move on. Welcome to the newest episode of Head Speaks. G.I. Joe, the Real American Headcast, is the code name for Aaron's daring, highly trained Headcast. Welcome to Bravo Team, our second G.I. Joe show looking at all the secondary G.I. Joe material. A world that needs the Energon Protocols.
And this is the Starman Manhunter Adventure Hour, presented by Head Speaks.
And I am Aaron Moss, a.k.a. Brotherhead, your host, Task Force X. Welcome to the Starbright Project, a Headcast Network podcast about one of the greatest TV shows ever created, Quantum Leap. I am one of your hosts, Aaron Moss. Joining me is my wife and co-host, Michelle Moss.
Hello, and we can experience it together on the Starbright Project podcast.
Let the show begin. Hey, dear listeners. Aaron Moss, a.k.a. Brotherhead, here at you. First off, I want to wish everyone listening to this a very happy new year. And I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. And I hope you have a prosperous, and, and wonderful 2025. This episode is coming out, should be across all my podcasts I have across the entire Headcast Network. It's basically a rundown of the Headcast Network at the end of 2024 and what's upcoming or planned for upcoming in 2025. So, with any further ado, let's get started. So, 2024 for the Headcast Network. When we started this show, the year, we had 6 shows, if I'm counting right, plus my G.I. Joe show had its 2 other shows tied into it. During 2024, my show, the wife and I show, Voyager's Cast, finally came to an end. That was 22 episodes, I believe we ran it. I think it was 21 episodes because the show lasted 20 episodes, and then we had a special show at the end kind of kicking everything or ending everything. So that happened. And also in 2024, we ended G.I. Joe, The Adventure Continues. As I talked about, due to life, we had to put a hold on the game at the end of 2023. We never got back into it, so the show eventually ended. That lasted, if I'm not mistaken, 21 episodes. So we ended 2 shows in 2024, but I also started a new show, a sub-show. As I said, we had the G.I. Joe The Adventure Continues role-playing game. That story, the adventures there ended, but Eric, our beloved game master, got the game back together again several months later with myself and Eric Ergen and a couple of new members, and we started it back up. Sadly, Eric was only with us for an episode or 2 before he had to bow out due to other, life and things interfering with it. But I had, in December, in fact, I released G.I. Joe, The Energon Protocols. So it's a new show that started. It's basically the G.I. Joe role-playing game from Renegade Studios that Eric is GMing along with myself. Like I said, Eric Ergon, the other Eric, stuck around for a couple of episodes before he had to bow out. But then we have Charles Cushman, we have Joshua McGuire, and one of the writers and creators of the G.I. Joe role-playing game, Ryan Costello. So we're playing these new adventures. This is tied into the current G.I. Joe / Transformers combined universe. And it's the Energon universe is what most people refer to it as. And so we've called it the Energon Protocols. So we released the first episode, and then for a Christmas bonus, I released us listening to the first episode in our commentary track. So if you guys listened to that, enjoyed it, again, it can be found at headcast.headspeaks.com and check it out. But again, my other shows, Headspeak is still going. Like I say, unfortunately, I did have some hiatuses during the year due to life. I'm still working on my life, trying to get things straightened out. But Headspeaks is still going on. G.I. Joe, Real American Headcast, and Bravo Team are both still going on. We ended the year, again, I'm a month or so behind or ahead on my recordings because I got behind on releasing things. So I believe I released episode 59 or was it 58? And Special Missions 3. So, and we're going to be looking at, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Starman, the Starman Manhunter Adventure Show or Adventure Hour became the Starman Adventure Show because I finished up with Manhunter and now I'm just looking at the Starman books. And Task Force X is still going strong again, just looking right now at the Suicide Squad book because I finished Checkmate. So those shows are all going strong. The other show the wife and I have, the Starbright Project, is currently on hold. We were recording, like I say, we were doing, myself and my Australian friend Hayden, longtime fans of the show, the wife, Michelle, a new viewer of it. We were watching it and she was giving her input, her questions, and making me, Hayden, think a little bit. And then NBC gave us the new season here a couple years ago. So we kind of started doing reviews on that. And we got the first 8 episodes, I want to say, recorded on that and released. And then we came into a bit of a quandary. The wife's not liking she likes the new season or the new seasons. I'm calling it season 6 and 7. She's not liking those as much as she liked the original show. So we're trying to figure out what we're doing on that. Plus the wife is the band booster president for our daughters. Our daughter is a junior in high school and playing in the school band, doing marching competitions and playing for the football games. And the wife is president of the boosters. So she's been busy with that, plus a new job teaching. We've kind of put the show on hiatus for a moment while we figure out what's going on. So while the show, the Starbright Project, hasn't quite ended, we haven't really seen new episodes in a while we figure our life out and a few other things, which I'll get to maybe later. But so it kind of went on a temporary hold for now. But that ended 2024 for us. Again, most of my shows are still going strong or as strong as can be with me, my delays and all that. But I want to thank everyone that's listened to it, all the listeners out there, everyone that's on Patreon. Again, join our Patreon. You go to It's patreon.com/Headcast Network. I've been terrible at social medias. The only one I've been doing strong is the Facebook. I'll do X and Instagram when I think about it. But I want to thank all my supporters out there, everyone that's involved with the show, all the guests I've had on there. Also in 2024, as I've talked about, my headcastnetwork.com website went down due to a billing issue. This is in 2023. My provider sent me an email about my domain coming up, and Gmail and its infinite wisdom hid it from me. And I didn't realize that until I did get an email saying it was expired and they wanted like $80 to renew it. And this is just for funsies. I'm not getting paid for this really. Yes, I do have a few Patreon people helping out, but it's not worth it in the long run for me to pay $80 for a website. So I was trying to decide what to do. I couldn't find out. Like I said, I'd missed a couple emails from some of the guys because I think it was Jared had emailed me, or I'd sent Jared like a X message or a text asking, I haven't heard from you guys. And I emailed you. So I got looking, it was all my spam folder. Stupid Gmail. Anyways, so headcastnetwork.com went away. That probably was the previous year, but I finally got the new website. Well, I say new website. It's an addition to my Headspeaks. So I've got headspeaks.com, which is just my general prattle and insanity. I've added a subdomain onto there, headcast.headspeaks.com. So you can go to headcast.headspeaks.com for all of your Headcast podcasting desires. Also on there, I've added a page for all my guest hosts and co-hosts and everything else. So check it out. Let me know what you think. Send me an email to head@headspeaks.com. And honestly, I think that wraps up 2024. Like I said, again, I had a few delays I didn't like, but I'm working on that. The Starbright Project is on hold, not over. It'll be back hopefully soon. I'm working on that. And the rest of my shows are still going strongish. But that's 2024 in a nutshell. Now, to move on to 2025, as the name of this episode is, the Headcast Network in 2025. Just a little what's coming up for all my shows. So Head Speaks. Oh, and I forgot, in 2024 on Head Speaks, I started a new segment. Let's back up a minute, back to 2024, rewind. Back in 2024 on Head Speaks, I started a new segment. Here a couple years ago, the wife and I were going to do a show called Retrospect of the 80s, looking at all things of the great decade, the 80s. Again, I don't have enough time to record those and edit those along with everything else I'm doing. I start to get out of hand. I start to, get too much. So we put that whole that show on hold, and it's never saw the light of day until this last year. I decided to add a segment to Head Speaks called Retrospect of the 80s, where I took the first couple episodes Michelle and I recorded, I've edited them down and threw them in, and now I've got a randomizer, and I'm looking at a random year in the 1980s, between 1980 through 1989, and I'm talking briefly about some of the pop culture hits, some of the music, and things like that from that year. Again, there's so much going on each year that if I do duplicate, I can go in and focus more on one or two things from that year. So that's what I decided to do. So Retrospect of the 80s has came out and is now a new segment on Head Speaks. And I think that now covers everything for 2024 back to 2025. So in 2025, let's talk about my shows. Head Speaks. That's still going on. I ended the Power of the Atoms last year coverage. I'm not sure what new book I'm going to look at. Like I've said before, there's several books I want to look at. Some have its own show. Some I may do it on the Head Speaks. I've got the Retrospect of the 80s going on there, plus whatever I feel like talking about. So if there's anything you'd like to talk about or hear me talk about that would fit with Head Speaks, which is almost anything geeky, feel free to let me know. Send an email to head@headspeaks.com. Moving on, let me see real quick. I'm trying how to decide to go about this because there's several different things going on. So Task Force X, let's look at that one. Task Force X is my show, currently looking at the Suicide Squad book. And I've only got a couple episodes left to do with that show. That one will be ending here probably around the middle of the year, if I don't get delayed. Knock on wood or fake particle board, whatever this desk is made out of. So that show will probably be ending here, probably the middle of the year. Instead of looking at other Suicide Squad books, because I haven't really liked any of them as much as I did what Ostrander and Yale did on the original series, I'm going to end that show when I reach the last issues. I'll cover the last issue of the comic, and then I'll probably look at the Darkest Night issue. I talked about that one already previously, but I'll look at it again just as a series wrap-up. Maybe give some mentions where things are going, but that show will be ending probably around the middle of the year. Also ending this year is, which I've renamed the Starman Adventure Show, looking at the Will Payton Starman book. Again, I figured out, and that one should end around the middle, closer to the end of the year, somewhere in there. I lost track where I'm at. I think I've got 5, 6, 8 episodes left on that one. Plus, I'll probably do a wrap-up episode of where you can find Starman and stuff like that. He went into some other books. I'm debating on whether or not I may cover those or not. If I do, that may push it out another few episodes, maybe the end of the year. We'll see what happens when I get that far. But Starman, the adventure show, sadly, for those that like it, will be ending probably this year sometime. It all depends on where I go with it. Like I said, the Starbright Project, the wife and I are still discussing that. And there's things in my personal life that I'm trying to get straightened out before I can make a determination for sure on what I'm doing on that. But I'm hoping to have the Starbright Project back up and running soon. Bear with me, and we'll see where we're going, either back to the original series or finish up with the season 6 or season 1 of the new series, whichever you want to refer to it as. I'm not sure I'm going with it yet. I'm still trying to decide, because the whole premise of that show got skewed off when NBC gave us a new series, so which I happily enjoyed and consumed and wanted more, but unfortunately it only ran 2 years. So I'm debating on what I'm doing with that show. So bear with me. And let me see. The final show on the network is G.I. Joe, A Real American Headcast. I will continue covering that. We're looking at the comics and the cartoon. That should take me through the end of the year. and beyond. Currently, we're up to, I think I'm going to release episode 59, I believe, is the next one coming out this month in January. And special missions for that's before something else. Anyways, in the G.I. Joe Royal American Headcast, I believe we've got that, and then either the Trader Part 1 or 2 is going to be with that, where I'm at now. I think it was Trader Part 1 comes out in this next episode. I think it's episode 59. So stay tuned for that. Related to G.I. Joe, there is also Bravo Team. Bravo Team, again, is looking at everything else G.I. Joe related. Right now, we're looking at Special Missions, because Special Missions was a bi-monthly book for a while, then it became monthly. Somehow I got off, and so right now, for the next couple of months, it's going to be monthly also. So Bravo Teams will be looking at Special Missions. We're not looking at Special Missions. We're going to look at Order of Battle. I've got the first episode or two of that recorded, and we're going to continue slipping those in when I can. Unfortunately, due to Special Missions going monthly here in a bit, we may not get too many of those before I start monthly with Special Missions. And that ran, I think it was 28 issues. So we've got a while on that one. And finally, for for G.I. Joe, Royal American Headcast, our final show on there, G.I. Joe, the Energon Protocols. As long as we keep playing the game, I'll keep releasing those as podcasts. Right now, we're playing that every other Thursday. In fact, as I record this, it's January the 2nd. We'll be playing it tonight. We're playing this bi-weekly, but I'm only releasing the podcast monthly for now until I get some things straightened out. So we're up to 12 or 13 episodes recorded, I believe. So I've got enough to last for the whole entire year. So even if the game does fizzle out for some reason, we still got episodes for the entire year. Praise Joe Pesci. But anyways, and I think that's it for the Headcast Network. Like I say, I've got a lot going on. When these other two shows, the Task Force X and the Starman Adventure Show, I keep going back and forth on that name. When those end, I may pet something and replace it, or I may just leave it a little lighter for right now just to get things going. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the future. Like I said, I've got a lot of other ideas. I want to look at the new Teen Titans and / New Titans run, at least the Wolfman Perez run. I love that run. I want to look at the first 2 years of Animal Man. I want to look at Hawk and Dove, which was 28 plus episodes or issues. It was 28 issues plus their involvement with Are the Gods. And they had a couple of annuals and the 5-issue miniseries that preceded it. So definitely gonna look at that somehow in the future. And there's a couple other books I want to look at. I'm not sure I'll throw off right hand what they are, but I know there's some other books I want to look at, but we'll see what happens. Like I said, it's just a short little, it's about 20-minute episode just to give you guys a heads up what's going on. If you like what I'm doing, you can send me an email to head@headspeaks.com and let me know. You can also visit our Patreon page, as I mentioned earlier, patreon.com/Headcast Network. And if you like what we're doing here, throw a few bucks in the tin. That would help out. And also, you can give us a phone call. Our voicemail line is area code 559-500-3182. Again, our voicemail line is 559-500-3182. Go ahead and give us a call and leave a message. I can play that on the air. Say at the beginning which show you're referring to, and I can play that on the air at the beginning of that show or during the letter column if I have one. And again, I'd be remiss if I did not say, again, thank you to my Patreon members. I appreciate you guys. I want to give thanks. We'll start with the lower end members. Again, Gene Hendricks, my buddy over at the Hammer Strikes and his podcasting empire. I want to thank you very much, Gene Hendricks, for all your support. And I also want to thank Bill Bear. I believe I've had him on a guest on the show before, and maybe we'll have him again. Again, he's a Patreon member also. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Bill. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, a super big thanks to my top sponsors, Big Danny Cool and Sean Adams. You guys are great. They're my top tier sponsored by sponsored by members. So thank you, Big Danny Cool and Sean Adams. It's really appreciated. But that's going to do it for this episode. Please tune into my regular shows. Right now, the plan is, unless things change, the first Tuesday of the month will be Head Speaks. The second Tuesday will be Task Force X. And the third Tuesday of the month is the Starman Adventure Show, with nothing really going on the fourth Tuesday at this point. And over on the Thursdays, we have the first Thursday of the month well, again, right now there's nothing, but eventually once I get it going again, it'll be the Starbright Project. The second Thursday of the month is G.I. Joe, a Royal American Headcast. The third Thursday of the month is Energon Protocols. And the fourth Thursday of the month is Bravo Team. And I almost forgot. You can tune in to us normally the fourth Sunday of the month at, again, there's links on the Facebook group, facebook.com/@/GI Joe. But if you go to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com, I'm going to mess this up. So give me half a second while I pull this up to see what's going on. It's a youtube.com/@gi.joe_headcast. I may see if we can shorten that down or something. Anyways, youtube.com/@g.i.joe_headcast. And again, the fourth Sunday of the month, we're recording either the regular show or a Bravo Team. I'm looking at setting up a second day so we can get both shows recorded during the month instead of like I'm doing haphazardly. And then also something I started doing, I forgot to mention in 2024, the third Friday of the month, every third Friday of the month at 1:00 p.m. Pacific time, which, again, I forgot to mention, the G.I. Joe show records at 1 p.m. Pacific time, normally. But the third Friday at 1 p.m., I am doing an unboxing and a review show where I open up my G.I. Joe, Transformers, and what other toys I haven't opened up yet. I'll open them up and I'll review them and we'll talk about it. So join us there. Again, that's all available at youtube.com/@g.i.joe_headcast. My unboxing review shows can also be seen on my Head Speaks channel, which is youtube.com/@headspeaks. Again, youtube.com/@headspeaks. You can visit us on Facebook at facebook.com/headspeaks or facebook.com/GI Joe. You look for me on X, Instagram, Threads, and everything else for G.I. Joe or Head Speaks or Headcast Network. I can be found at any of those. I gave out the phone number to call. I think that's going to do it. I'm sure I'm missing something. I'm really bad at this. Again, if you check out the shows on YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons, and you can join us in when I redo my recordings. But a big thank you to all my listeners. I appreciate you guys. Feel free to write in. I love hearing from people. I don't hear from people as much as I'd like to, but definitely write in. head@headspeaks.com. Your letters will get to me, and I can read them on the air. But until next time, I guess until this next Tuesday, which I should be releasing this the next day or so from when I'm recording this. So on January the 7th, we should be releasing an episode of Head Speaks. So join us then. Until next time, see ya. Thank you for joining us on another great episode of Head Speaks. I can also be found rambling on other Headcast Network shows, such as the Task Force X Headcast, where I cover all the appearances of the Suicide Squad and Checkmate comic books from the late 80s, early 90s. Over on G.I. Joe, a Real American Headcast, where me and my guest hosts look back at the comic book and TV series from the 80s. And in addition, we also have Bravo Team, where we look at other G.I. Joe related paraphernalia. And over on the Starman Adventure Show, where I reread the Will Payton Starman comics and talk about them, once again, from the late 80s. In addition, myself and my wife Michelle, along with our friend from the land down under, Hayden McQueenie, talks about the TV show Quantum Leap monthly over on the Starbright Project. All the Headcast Network shows can be found on your favorite podcatcher or at my home on the internet, which is at headcast.headspeaks.com. Over on Facebook, X, and Instagram, look for Headcast Network. And please feel free to email your bitches, moans, and gripes to head@headspeaks.com. Also, feel free to email any compliments you have. If you want to record a message, you can send it to me at head@headspeaks.com, and I'll play it on the air. And be sure to join us next time for another fun-filled Headcast from your friendly neighborhood brother Head. And be sure to tell a friend. Until next time, I'll see you in the funny pages.